We live in a hyper-connected world that is constantly screaming for your attention. From the moment you wake up, you are bombarded by endless voices telling you what to desire, who to become, and how to measure your own worth. It is a loud, chaotic environment where everyone is aggressively trying to prove themselves, leaving you emotionally drained and disconnected from your true purpose. But true power is not found in shouting the loudest or winning arguments that do not matter. The ultimate strength lies in doing the exact opposite, staying completely silent. When you stop reacting to the endless external noise and choose to focus your energy entirely inward, you begin to master your own mind. Silence becomes your ultimate sanctuary and your greatest tool for transformation. Let's explore how stepping back from the chaos is the only way to truly move forward. Part 1: The Illusion of Doing versus the Peace of Being. Look closely at the people around you, or perhaps even at your own life. You will notice a relentless, frantic cycle of action. We are a society obsessed with the concept of doing. We set monumental goals, we hustle, we strive, and we burn ourselves out trying to reach the next big milestone. But have you ever paused in the middle of this chaos to ask yourself why you are running so fast? Often, this intense drive to achieve is not born from a place of genuine inspiration or deep purpose. Instead, it stems from a hidden, gnawing feeling of emptiness. It comes directly from a space of lack. We relentlessly chase after wealth, elevated status, romantic relationships, or material possessions because we have been conditioned to believe that we are incomplete without them. We operate under the false assumption that once we secure that promotion, buy that specific house, or find that ideal partner, we will finally feel whole and satisfied. We use these external achievements to construct a carefully curated identity. We build a mask to present to the world, desperately hoping it will cover up our internal insecurities and silence the doubts in our minds. However, building an identity based entirely on external achievements is like building a heavy fortress on shifting sand. The moment you achieve your desired goal, the fleeting satisfaction begins to fade. The familiar feeling of lack inevitably returns, forcing you to start chasing the next illusion. This is the endless, exhausting treadmill of doing. Now, contrast this exhausting cycle with the profound, grounding peace of simply being. To truly understand the state of being is to awaken to a fundamental, unshakable truth. When you are deeply connected to the core source of who you truly are, you realize there is absolutely nothing to add to yourself, and there is nothing anyone can take away. You are fundamentally whole. You are completely sufficient just as you are right now. When your daily actions begin to flow from this peaceful state of being, you no longer act out of sheer desperation or a constant need to prove your worth to strangers. Your actions become an expression of joy, natural creativity, and a genuine desire to contribute positively to the world around you. Making this monumental shift from doing to being requires a crucial step that many people are terrified to take, which is true, unfiltered self-discovery. Before you can set any meaningful goals for your future, you must first understand exactly who is setting them. If you do not know yourself deeply and intimately, every decision you make is simply blind guesswork. You might spend decades aggressively climbing a ladder only to look around and realize it was leaning against the wrong wall all along. If your fundamental perspective of who you are is flawed, then every goal you set, every relationship you pursue, and every career move you make will be pointed in the wrong direction. The clarity you are searching for will never be found in the chaotic noise of the outside world. The answers are waiting for you in the quiet, undisturbed space within. You must dedicate the time to sit silently with yourself. You must strip away the heavy expectations of your family, the judgments of your peers, and the demands of society, so you can discover the raw truth of what you actually value. This profound inner silence is exactly where your true path begins. Part 2: The Mastery of Non-Reactivity, Still Waters. Imagine your mind as a perfectly still, crystal clear lake. When you have a clear purpose in life, you are essentially looking deep into the bottom of this quiet lake to see your true path. Your goal requires clarity, and clarity requires absolute stillness. But consider what happens when you interact with the world unconsciously. Every time you frantically chase after a fleeting desire, you are throwing a heavy stone into the water. Every time you react with anger or fight aggressively against a situation you hate, you are violently slapping the surface of the lake. In ancient philosophy, there are 5 specific mental obstacles known as the 5 hindrances. These internal forces will actively try to disrupt your peace and pull you away from your ultimate objectives. They are sensory desire, ill will, dullness, restlessness, and self-doubt. When you allow these hindrances to dictate your actions, you are constantly disturbing the calm waters of your mind. When sensory desire arises, your instinct is to reach out and pull things toward you. You become deeply attached to outcomes, creating chaotic waves of craving. Conversely, when ill will or frustration appears, you instinctively try to push it away. You resist reality, generating violent ripples of anger, resentment, and exhaustion. Dullness fogs your mental water entirely, making you feel heavy and unmotivated. Restlessness creates a constant, trembling surface where no clear image can ever form. And self-doubt stirs up the mud from the bottom, completely blinding you to your own potential and destination. The ultimate mastery of the mind lies in the profound practice of non-reactivity. When something you deeply desire appears in your life, you must learn to observe it without aggressively grasping at it. When a person or a situation you dislike crosses your path, acknowledge its presence, but do not waste your precious vital energy actively fighting to push it away. Both of these impulsive reactions drain your energy reserves and severely distract you from your main goal. To maintain your unwavering focus, you must learn to stand firmly on the shore of your own mind. Let the unpredictable events of life pass by like temporary clouds reflecting on the surface of your mental lake. Do not touch the water. By refusing to push or pull at the circumstances around you, you keep your energy entirely contained and your vision crystal clear. This supreme level of emotional discipline is exactly how you walk steadily toward your true purpose without ever being derailed by the endless, noisy distractions of the world. Part 3: The Alchemy of Hardship, Training the Mind. Life is fundamentally difficult, and trying to avoid this reality will only lead to deeper suffering. Whenever you set a high ambition or decide to elevate your existence, you are consciously choosing a path that will inevitably test your limits. You can compare this personal journey to the grueling discipline of ancient martial arts training. In those strict traditions, practitioners undergo intense physical conditioning, knowing full well that extreme stretching and rigorous strength building will bring immense physical pain. They willingly walk through the valley of hardship not to punish themselves, but to forge an absolutely unbreakable spirit. The same principle applies directly to your mental and emotional growth. The goal of facing the unavoidable hardships of life is never to become completely numb. It is not about pretending that the pain does not exist or aggressively suppressing your natural human emotions. Instead, the ultimate objective is to develop a profound new relationship with your own discomfort. You want to reach a heightened level of awareness where you can actively feel the pain, clearly acknowledge its presence, and yet absolutely refuse to let it dictate your next move. When ordinary people feel discomfort, their untrained minds immediately panic. They instinctively change direction, abandon their long-term goals, and retreat in fear to the familiar safety of their comfort zones. But a true master approaches the same pain very differently. When you face adversity, you feel the intense pressure, but you observe it from a much higher perspective. You realize that the struggle is simply a temporary sensation, and it does not have the authority to alter your decisions or push you off your chosen path. You can look directly at the hardship and say to yourself that it is painful, but it is perfectly okay for right now. To build this incredible mental resilience, you must consciously and willingly step outside of your safe spaces on a regular basis. Do not wait for a massive life crisis to strike before you learn how to handle stress. Train your mind daily by embracing small, intentional discomforts. Push yourself to do the hard things when you actually have the choice. By consistently breaking through the invisible walls of your initial comfort zone, you condition your nervous system to remain completely calm under pressure. You essentially transform the heavy, unavoidable burdens of life into the very weights you use to build an unshakable inner strength. Part 4: Illuminating the Shadows, Radical Inner Transparency. To truly master your mind and find lasting peace, you must be willing to do the deep, uncomfortable inner work that most people spend their entire lives running away from. True freedom does not come from successfully controlling the world around you, it comes from achieving absolute, radical honesty with yourself. For years, you may have pushed down painful memories, uncomfortable truths, and toxic traits, burying them in the darkest, most hidden corners of your psyche. But as long as those shadows exist in the background, they will quietly control your emotional reactions and subconsciously dictate your daily choices. You must be brave enough to shine a brilliant, unforgiving light on those hidden parts of yourself. To be truly free, you need to become completely transparent. If there are heavily guarded spots inside your heart or your mind where no light has ever been allowed to touch, ultimate liberation will remain impossible. You must sit in silence and figure out exactly what is hiding inside you. Ask yourself what uncomfortable truths you have been terrified to look at for all these years. Acknowledge your deep flaws, your secret resentments, and your buried fears without any shame or self-judgment. By bringing these shadowy, ignored aspects into the clear light of your own awareness, you instantly strip away their hidden power over you. They can no longer manipulate you from the dark. The most powerful tool for maintaining this profound transparency is adopting the perspective of the elevated observer. Imagine that there is always a higher, infinitely wiser version of yourself watching everything you do, everything you say, and every single thought that crosses your mind. Whether you are surrounded by a massive crowd of people or sitting entirely alone in an empty room, this elevated presence sees your intentions with absolute clarity. When you begin to live your daily life based on this profound awareness, your actions naturally align with your highest values. You stop hiding behind convenient excuses and start living a life of unbreakable integrity. You realize that you can never truly hide from yourself, and in that powerful, quiet realization, you finally become free to walk your true path. If you are finding value in this journey of inner peace and self-mastery, take a brief moment to pause and take a deep breath. Please consider subscribing to Buddha Coha. We are building a quiet sanctuary here to share deep wisdom, helping you calm your mind and elevate your spirit. By hitting the like button, you help spread this mindful energy to others who might be searching for clarity today. Thank you for walking this path of awakening with us. Now, let us return to our journey. Part 5, Practical Mindfulness, the Weight of Consequence. Once you have gained a greater awareness of your internal landscape and brought your hidden shadows into the light, the next logical step is to translate that profound understanding into your daily reality. Inner work is completely useless if it does not fundamentally change the way you interact with the physical world. To stop repeating the same destructive patterns that have kept you stuck for years, you must deeply understand the undeniable weight of consequence. Every single thought you entertain, every word you speak, and every action you take creates a very real, energetic ripple effect in your life. Before you react to a difficult situation, lash out at a frustrating colleague, or make a sudden, emotionally charged decision, you must learn to pause in absolute silence and perform an action-consequence evaluation. Ask yourself this extremely powerful question: is the result I am about to create going to make my life feel lighter, more pleasurable, and genuinely free? Or will it nourish conflict, fuel aggression, and add unnecessary density to my existence? When you act out of anger, resentment, or a desperate need to prove yourself, you immediately place a heavy, suffocating stone on your own heart. You end up carrying the unnecessary suffering of the world on your shoulders, constantly feeling like you are operating under crushing pressure. Ultimately, only two fundamental forces are competing within your mind. One force constantly aims for limitless expansion, boundless freedom, and spiritual elevation. The other force aggressively aims for heavy restriction, rigid boundaries, and continuous suffering. Every choice you make actively feeds one of these two forces. To ensure you are consistently feeding the force of limitless expansion, you must perform a strict, honest audit of your internal state at the end of every single week. Sit down in quiet reflection, look back over the past 7 days, and ask yourself, what was the primary, dominating emotion that dictated my reality this week? Was it a heavy feeling of anxiety, anger, or lack that severely limited my potential? Or was I mostly existing in a state that felt joyful, liberated, and deeply uplifting? This simple, silent evaluation provides an exact roadmap for your personal transformation. It shows you exactly where you are leaking your vital energy and precisely what emotional states you need to transform. By consistently choosing the actions that bring lightness and actively rejecting the actions that create heavy density, you slowly but permanently reshape your entire reality. Part 6, The Art of Letting Go. If you genuinely want your future to look completely different from your past, there is one brutal but incredibly liberating truth you must accept. You simply cannot remain the same person. You cannot carry the heavy, outdated baggage of your previous years into a brand new chapter of your life and expect things to magically change. The climax of your personal transformation does not involve acquiring more skills, gathering more possessions, or forcing the world to bend to your will. The ultimate climax of this journey is found in the quiet, profound art of letting go. We often cling desperately to our old patterns, toxic habits, and familiar ways of thinking because they offer us a false sense of security. Even if those habits are actively destroying our peace, they are predictable, and the human mind prefers predictable suffering over the unknown. You might be holding tightly onto grudges from a decade ago, limiting beliefs about your own worth, or a rigid identity that you built simply to survive a difficult period in your life. But those defensive mechanisms have now become the very prison walls keeping you trapped. If nothing changes about the way you think and react, a new life will never arrive. To step into the elevated version of yourself, you must be willing to let the old version fade away. This process of shedding your past can feel terrifying and deeply painful because it feels like you are losing a fundamental piece of who you are. But in reality, you are not losing yourself at all. You are simply dropping the heavy armor you no longer need. Letting go means stepping back and intentionally releasing your tight grip on how you think things should be. It means forgiving yourself for past mistakes, detaching from the uncontrollable actions of other people, and emptying your mind of the constant, noisy chatter of self-doubt. When you finally release these dense, heavy patterns, you create a massive void of pure potential. It is only in this vast, silent, and empty space that true peace, fresh inspiration, and a completely transformed life can finally take root and grow. The journey to mastering your own mind is not a loud, victorious sprint across a finish line. It is a quiet, lifelong walk inward. In a world that constantly demands your immediate reaction, choosing to stay silent is the ultimate act of rebellion. It is the profound realization that your inner peace is worth far more than any external validation. When you stop forcing the turbulent waters of your life and simply allow them to settle, the heavy mud sinks to the bottom, and your true path becomes undeniably clear. You no longer need to exhaust your spirit by endlessly doing and chasing. You can finally rest in the immense, unshakable power of just being. The hardest battles you will ever fight are not against the people or the circumstances around you. They are fought against your own hidden shadows, your own deep-seated doubts, and your own instinctive reactivity. Yet, by bravely shining a light into the dark and intentionally choosing the path of limitless expansion, you forge a spirit that nothing in the physical world can ever break. Silence is never empty. It is full of the exact answers you have been frantically searching for everywhere else. When you commit to mastering your inner world, the outer world will naturally fall into place without any forced effort. Take a deep, intentional breath right now. Let go of the heavy tension you have been carrying all day, and step fully into the quiet, absolute strength of this present moment. Your true life is waiting for you in the stillness. If this message resonated with your spirit today, please share your thoughts or your own personal experiences with finding peace in the comments below. We are all walking this profound path of self-discovery together, and your unique story might be exactly the light that someone else needs to find their way. Please subscribe and join our community so we can continue exploring this beautiful journey of mindfulness, healing, and personal growth. Until next time, stay grounded, stay focused, and walk your true path in peace.